results. So I know exactly what you're talking about with your friend.
Yeah, and you actually handled it the right way by trying to model him. Back, before I learned all this, I guess it was about 10 years ago, I remember I had a
Mm.
friend, another friend who had that delusional confidence and delusional way about him. And I was so infuriated by it that I almost wanted to crush his confidence, because I guess I was so insecure with myself that having
Yeah.
him have this sort of unfounded confidence was like threatening to me, and my other friends as well, and we all like sort of would try to drag him down. And I think a lot of guys made the mistake that I made, and they're much better off sort of following your advice and modeling these guys when they see a guy who sort of has maybe a little bit of delusional confidence. Instead of trying to knock it or knock him
Yeah.
down, say, wait a minute, if this is working for him, maybe he's onto something.
Yeah, and I think what you just touched on as well is really important in for another aspect, which is to see the flip side of it, where what you're talking about, knocking him down, and when I was talking about being willing to step out from the crowd, because it's that sort of stuff that you have to be prepared to face. Do you see what I mean? Your friends going, oh, well, who does he think he is? Or why is this guy trying to tower over me? Or, that sort of stuff is just as difficult to overcome at first as your own negative beliefs are, So I think it's good that it's really good that you touched on that. But modeling is so important, so important.
Definitely. One of the other interesting things that I kind of thought about, and you haven't mentioned it, but I'd like to just ask you about it. And when I heard that you were sort of a trained theater actor, and that you were kind of putting this into pickup, I was wondering, about the idea of sort of playing a role in the beginning for guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that that you can see a benefit from? Like almost like when you're an actor, obviously there's going to be roles where you have to play somebody who's more confident. If you're trying out for a part of the the star football player, let's say you're doing a TV show as an actor, and you're trying out for a role as like the star of the quarterback of the football team. So you have to sort of be that guy, and a lot of actors aren't necessarily that guy. So by training as an actor and sort of having to play that guy, is that something that can be learned through some of these acting skills of like sort of playing a role and getting into a character?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think what you learn about acting, and it's the best thing that I learned outside of body language from an acting training point of view was about the concept of self, because we are transformable. We can mold we can play different roles as people, as we do when we're kids. You look at a kid who hasn't been restricted by social conditioning or anything like that. They play and they do different roles, and they mess around with voices, and they can change their mood and their tempo at will. And so we're all capable of doing that. And I think what acting shows you is how to at first, and this was hard for me at first, because I was from a business background. Normal people, the average age of going to drama school was about 18 to 20, and I started at 21. But before that, because I'd been in a relationship with an older woman, I tried to grow up too fast. I'd always been dating women that were older than me, and so I was in a business mindset doing marketing, and I was rigid. I went to drama school, and I had to strip those kind of those restrictions, and I still, even now as an actor, keep trying to peel back layers. So for guys in the field, I let them know that you're actually adaptable. You can change and you can play about. So some things that I get them to do is to go in with a silly accent, or there are accents that we actually so everyone's got an accent that they can kind of do, or someone that they imitate or mimic really well. And I just get them, look, go in and use this accent. Just play. And it's that facility to play that kind of that frees you up in the field and allows you to be in the moment. When we go to strip clubs, my mate 5.0 is another love systems instructor, and we every time I go to a strip club, we're always like, right, he's like, V, do Prince Uluwale, who's this, we make up these characters, and he's this African prince who comes into the strip clubs, and we just have just a laugh with it. So I put on this African accent, and we muck about, but but even with students, they're able to, as soon as you put it into your mind that you don't have to be this rigid guy, you can actually mess about and play, and it's very effective. Then you start to have fun in the field. You start to kind of shake off your restrictions and become more spontaneous. Another thing as well is the concept of acting as if, if I was someone who was successful with women, how would I behave? How would I talk? How would I move? How would I look at other women? If I was someone that women responded to positively all the time, how would I X, Y, Z? Do you see what I mean? That sort of stuff is hugely powerful for stimulating the imagination and getting us to kind of project an ideal image that we can then start to work towards. Because if our mind can't see, they talk about everything being created twice. It's the same thing with our personal character. If you haven't thought about the type of man that you want to be, and the kind of success that you want to have, it's very difficult for you to work towards that.
Yeah, that's definitely a true point. When you begin to work towards it and you decide that you want to make the change and you want to improve your body language, and you're sort of faced with habit, even just the natural physiology of your body over time forms a habit, and it's a little tough, to, without consciously always thinking about it, to change that habit. What's the first step a guy's got to take when he decides that he wants to break the habit of bad body language?
Yeah, I'd say I'd always start with the mind. So, just as I mentioned earlier about it being a mental and a physical process, to really weed out those negative emotions, negative beliefs, to highlight the areas in which you shrink. So if you're around particular people and you find your body language messing up, or you find yourself slouching, or you find yourself, just like I was talking about when I was on the bus with the phone, highlighting the areas that you have the most trouble in. The second step, so that's the first step, the mental thing. The second step is the physical, and that is to first and foremost neutralize your posture. So on the DVD I talk about this neutral posture, which is we talk about thin slicing, which is the kind of that rapid cognition, and when the kind of stereotypes that people place on us within the first instance of seeing us. And when you find the neutral position, it's hard to talk about it over the phone because it's something that I normally show. But you kind of stand with your feet basically hip width apart, so not too wide, and you imagine that there's a string attached to the tip of your spine that kind of pulls you, not necessarily pulls you, that you dangle from the ceiling, all right? And what this does is it pulls you to your full height, and your head shouldn't be tilting upwards. Your head should be on the horizon. So your eyes are on the horizon, so not tilting upwards or anything. And you lift up out of your hips, so you're not slouching anywhere, and you imagine that your chest is opening and widening. So it's the sensation of lengthening and widening. But that's a posture thing. But you're also the kind of common places that guys hold the most tension are in the neck and the shoulders and the lower back, and the chest as well. If you've been doing a lot of press ups and you haven't been strengthening your back at the same time, so doing pull-ups to kind of counteract the push-ups, then it's likely that your shoulders are going to start sloping forward and pulling in because you've overdeveloped your pec muscles. So I'd always start from releasing tension, from posture and releasing tension. So stretching in the morning, warming up, stretching after you've had a long day at the office, stretching your neck out, stretching your shoulders out, stretching your back out, things like that. Yoga's always a good thing for that. And you know, a lot of guys, it's getting more popular now, guys doing yoga and stuff like that. So a lot of guys stay away from it. They think it's a girly thing. It's awesome. I can't even lie. It's something that is fantastic for posture. It's fantastic for agility, and just overall health in general. But those two things, if you work on finding finding the negative beliefs, and then also getting back to neutral first and foremost. So just kind of releasing the tension and getting into postural alignment.
All right, and right before, in a second, I want to ask you a little bit about the DVDs, and I know you have a real interesting talk from talking to Cajun. He really put over your talk on it and what you had to say. So I'm curious to hear, what else